Today we're doing something different. We're going to be doing an analysis of opening strategies here. We're not actually going to play this match out. Just need some visual eye candy while I'm explaining what we're doing here. And I'm going to do some testing in a map with no bots in it. We're going to start a new match and do multiple matches. I'll have it edited up real nice for you. And we're going to test to see, is it better to do like a bunch of small sends, medium sends, full sends, a combination, you know, the green biscuit strategy, whatever the heck his name is. And we'll see what works best for having a nice dominant strategy, which is the best way to open, or at least among the ones that I do test today. We might have to do a few of these videos here to test it, but stick around and learn some things. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to single player. We're going to set it down to just one player, us. That way we can test it without the bots interfering with our growth. Get that RNG out of there. And we'll do black arena because it's just like this nice wide open square to work with here. And what we're going to do is we're going to spawn somewhere. We're going to click here. We're going to wait till we get right about halfway. We'll do a 50% send, and then we will click the button. We got to time it just right when the troops stop. And then what we can do is we can gauge it. You see this little white bar here? This is the bar, this little white bar that goes up and down. That's where we're gauging it by. What's generally agreed upon by the experts of this game is that what you want is for your troops to have been fully sent on this bar that appears below here before this thing returns and goes to the next cycle here. Actually, this first one, let's just watch what I'm talking about here. So like I send, you know, we wait for it to get right here, and then we send our troops. This right here, you want all these to be back, preferably right about the time that ends. That way, it just maximizes your troop income according to the experts. And the nice thing about single player here is I can do it without interference, no bots. As soon as I click this button right here, it pauses it, so I can see right here, I sent that too late. We have troops that haven't returned yet. And the other thing that we're looking at is this number right here, this 1624. As this number changes, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be comparing. I'm going to end up opening multiple tabs of the single player game here, and what I'll do is I'll pause this here and, you know, compare it to the next one, and we're going to compare like how we're doing after the first cycle with this much, and then this much, and then this much on different tabs. Oh, well, this right here we messed up because I was explaining things, so let's start over here. So for this first one, let's do 25% here, and we'll do it right about here and be prepared to click as soon as the next cycle starts there. Okay, so with about a 25%, maybe 30%, it's hard to gauge it perfectly, we ended up with 925 troops left and 84 pixels gained. And we're looking to see how we're doing after about the 4th or 5th cycle or so, but we want to look at each step along the way. This will be a long analytical video. This is for the people who really want to deep dive, learn about this stuff. Okay, now we're going to try it in a second browser tab here, and we're going to try it with 50%, which means we got to send it maybe a little bit earlier, maybe right around there, and that's about right. We want to pause it right as the next cycle starts. So here we have 825 troops, so we have less troops, but we have 144 pixels, so we have a lot more pixels. So I would say as far as after the first cycle goes, this is a lot better than this one, which only got us 84 pixels. But it's not just after the first cycle. We got to see after it does after 4 or 5 or so. Okay, we're in our third tab now. Now we're going to try 75%. So we'll come down here, put down about 75. We're going to have to send it earlier, I think. Wait for it to finish and get back, and then stop it. Now we have 700 troops, which is less, but we have 220 pixels, which is a lot better than the 144 we have on this and the 84 we have in the other. So it's a little bit less troops, but I think it's worth it for the extra gains, at least in this first cycle here. Okay, we're on the 4th browser tab now, and now we're going to try 100%, which means I need to do this fairly early, I think, maybe right around there. Keep in mind, this is not like a perfect test because sometimes it might like time it slightly off, but it's just to give us a general pretty good idea. So here we have 579 troops, so a fair less amount of troops. 579 compared to 700 the previous one, 925 the first one had, but we have 312 pixels, which is significantly more than the first one. But the question is, how does this compound over time? Because your next cycle, this is going to have less troops to send than the first one, the second one, and the third one. Okay, now we're back in the first tab, the one that has 925 troops left and 84 pixels, those 25% send. So we're going to do another 25% send. As soon as I click this X and the bar gets maybe about halfway, third way, we just want to time it right so the troops are... you want to spend them late in the cycle, and then before the cycle returns is like the optimal strategy that all the experts agree on, that they've like deep dive mathed on. We'll try it right about there, and might have been a smidge early there, but close enough for testing purposes. So now we're at 220 pixels, which is tied to, I think, the 75% of the first cycle with 1826 troops. So this is a better method for saving more troops early. but you do want land as well. It's like the balance of getting as much land and having enough troops to fight later on. Right now I'm only testing like first tab 25, second tab 50, and then third 75, and fourth 100. After we do all these, I might do some testing of like combinations of like, you know, first cycle 50, next 50, then 75, 75, and just it might be a long video. I don't know. It might be short. I don't know. We're going to deep dive this and, you know, narrow it down a little bit. We're not going to find the perfect strategy here, but we're going to narrow it down a little bit, teach people some better methods for testing opening strategies, and figure something out. All right, we're in the tab that has 50%, 825 troops, 144 pixels. Let's give this one a whirl. Try and time this just right, maybe right about there. And that was a pretty good time. Nope, click that a little bit too soon. Do it again. Okay, we're at 1835 troops, 420 pixels. Blaze it. And this was the first one. So we have almost the exact same amount of troops, but 200 extra pixels. So we have we've gained almost double the land. We have the same amount of troops by doing 50%. So as far as the first two cycle goes, 50-50, definitely better than 25-25, no contest. You end up with the same amount of troops and almost double the land. And that's the goal we're going for here. We want to get like as much land as possible while still having like a decent enough amount of troops left to actually like, you know, survive when you actually start facing the bots and the players. And usually within like probably 3 to 5, you know, cycle gains for land, you're gonna be touching other bots and players, depending on how full the lobbies are. Okay, now we're back on the third tab, the 75% send tab. This is the first cycle, 220, 700. Now we're gonna do it again and try and see how we end up after the second cycle. So close this. We're gonna need to time this, I think probably about halfway. Trying to get that good, and okay, we maybe send it a little bit early, but not bad. So now we have 1610 troops, which is about 200 or so, 250 so, less than the other two. So a little bit less, but not that significant. And it has 544 pixels compared to the 420 of the 50-50. So far, doing 75% 3 times in a row seems to be comparable, if not a little bit better than 50s 2 times in a row. I said 3 times, 2 times in a row. So far, it's just seeming in the early phases, more is better, but how does it compound over time? We will find out. Now we're in the fourth tab, 100% tab here, and we need to do this probably again. Actually, this, you're a little bit low on troops when you do it right about there, maybe, and that was fairly almost perfectly timed. Keep in mind, if my timings are slightly off, it can like change things, so this is just like a rough guide. Somebody can like take the time to do this like perfectly if they want to. This seems pretty good. This seems the best so far. 1669 troops. The numbers are showing up all over today. And 840 pixels is really good. For perspective, we only had 544 here, 420 here, and 220 here. So it's literally like quadruple almost this one right here. So far in the first 2 cycles, just more is better if you time it right. Okay, time for cycle number 3. We're going to do the first tab here, the 25% send. This will be our third time of this little cycle white bar going up. When we do this, and we're going to want to send it probably right around here, I think. Time that fairly decently. So after the third cycle, we still only have 544 pixels and 3,600 troops. So far, it's not looking great for the 25% at all. We'll see how it is. We're going to do 5 full cycles of this. Once you've done 5 cycles, you're going to be pretty much encapsulated either then or earlier on your third or fourth cycle in most matches, unless the lobbies are empty. And keep in mind, we're testing this for battle royales and I guess also teams, not for 1v1. 1v1 is a whole different can of worms. That's not my specialty. That's not what I do. Although this method of testing will probably be useful for figuring out the best way to open in 1v1s if you really want to deep dive it. All right, back in the second tab, the 50% tab, time to do our third cycle here. We close this. We're going to want to do it maybe right around here. Did we time that right? Fairly decently, I think. So we're at 3,644 troops, which is almost the same as the previous one. So 25 and 50 seem to be ending up with the same amount of troops. But this one has a lot more pixels. The last one had 544, I think. This one has 1,012. So just more seems to be better, as long as you're not getting attacked by players and bots while you're doing this. All right, it's time for the third tab here, the 75%. So we got 544 right now. Let's see what it turns into. This is gonna be a lot of troops. Probably gonna want to do when the little line is halfway up or so. Hopefully time that about right. Pretty good, I'd say. And we're in the start of the next cycle here. So we ended up with 3,515 troops. So once you get past the first cycle or two, the troop count tends to end up the same each time. This is all given that you time it properly, which quite often when I'm commentating in the start of matches in my videos, I don't because I'm distracted with commentary. Troop count about the same, 1,404 pixels. That's almost 400 more pixels than the 50%. So far, it just seems more is more, more is better as far as if you put the slider to one spot and just keep it there. All right, now we're on the fourth tab, the 100% tab, fourth tab of the browser, and we are going to probably have to do this like halfway up the little line here right there, a little bit early because you're sending so much, and time that almost perfectly, I'd say. We actually end up with more troops here at the end of the third cycle, and 2,112 pixels. So far, if you time it properly, which is a big if, it's hard to time it properly, especially when you're like, distracted with the real game, and this is all giving you have like, ample free land around you. The 100% seems to be just taking it away on every single cycle so far. It seems that 100% just seems to be like the way to go in this particular scenario. It's different when there's like, if you have bots all and players all around you, different story, right? This is just like a general baseline. All right, 2 more cycles to go. We got to check out the 4th and the 5th, and after that, we'll have enough data to then start testing like combo strategies. So 25% here for the 4th cycle is gonna be like 1,000 pixels or so. So probably be like close to 2/3, 3/4 of the way up, right about there. Did that about right. And we end up with 1,200 pixels and 7,219. Keep that in mind. That was 4 sends. This one's only had 3 sends. It's earlier in the match. Already has like almost 1,000 more, so just way, way better if you're not getting attacked and you got free land. All right, second tab, time for another 50% for the 4th cycle here. We got to time this. It's a lot of troops. We got to send it kind of like halfway up there. Hopefully timed that about right. Seems about right. Could have done a smidge later. 8,277 troops. So we have a lot of troops to defend with. That's a pretty good amount of troops. 2,244. So we have over 1,000 more pixels than the 25%, and we have a little bit more troops as well. So 25% just doesn't seem to be it. At least not exclusively 25s. Time for the 4th cycle of the 75% on the 3rd tab here. And this is going to require, I think, a fairly early send like here, maybe. And that's about right, pretty well timed. So we end up with 3,280 pixels, and we still have 8,320 troops left. So again, so far, it's just 75% seems to be better than 25 and 50, given you have, free room, nobody attacking you, and you time it right. All right, we're back on the 4th tab here, 100%. Going to do the 4th cycle, the 4th time of this little bar going up the top, reach the top and going back down. That's a cycle. All right, we hit the X here. We're going to need to send this like fairly early right there, I think. Nice and early and almost perfectly timed, I'd say. 5,100 pixels at the end of the 4th cycle. You're only 22 seconds into the match, and you have 5,100 pixels by doing almost perfectly timed full sends. Someone could do it a little bit better than I did, but yeah, I did a decent job of timing these full sends so far, better than I was expecting. So that's pretty good. All right, back in the 1st tab, 25%. Close this. We're going to want to send it right about here, I'd say. I sent it maybe a little bit early there, but I think we've already confirmed that 25% all the way is not it. 5th cycle, 15,000 troops, but only 2,380 pixels. Half the land of the 100%. You do have 5,000 more troops than the 100% at the end of the 4th cycle. But again, this is at the end of the 4th cycle. What's this going to be at the end of the 5th cycle, All right, 2nd tab, the 50%. We're going to try this. We're going to need to send this fairly early, I think. It's a lot of troops to be going there. Want to get back in time and fairly well timed. 4,900 pixels, 17,548. Interestingly enough, still less pixels than the 100%, 200 less. And it's got more troops, but also remember, this has only had 4 cycles. This is after 5 cycles. All right, time for the 3rd tab, 75% tab. And this is going to mean need to send this fairly early, I'd say here, to make sure it gets done in time. Send it a little bit late there. Sent that a little bit late to kind of what's a bit afterwards. We're a second later in this one, but kind of gets the idea. 7,564 pixels, 19,000 troops. Again, way more pixels than the previous ones and a healthy number of troops left. And now time for this one. We're going to send this one like fairly early, like almost right away, I think, to do that properly. And yeah, I'm just going to stop it right there. So you could have done that one almost instantly. We're at 11,400 pixels. Hasn't even fully finished sending almost 21,000 troops. So I think as far as if you just want to set the slider to 1 point and you don't want to fiddle around with sliding it back and forth. I know some people don't want to be bothered with my first cycle. I got time 25 and then 50 and then 47 and then 48 and 51. Not everybody wants to do that. Some people just want to are more casual. They want to click a spot and then just leave it there for their opener. And if that's what you're looking to do, and if you're okay with paying attention to this cycle and trying to time that, just 100% all the way seems to be the way to go on every cycle if you time it properly, and if you're not being attacked by other players. If you're looking for something simple and easy without, you know, I mean, assuming this cycle thing's not too hard for you. But what about combinations? Like doing a 50 at the start and then like a couple 75s, or one thing you hear a lot is like 25 or 35 followed by like a little under 50, you know, like the green biscuit opening or whatever the heck that is they talk about on the Discord. There's like some Teleho openings as well. I don't remember what that one is. There's a lot of different openings, and I'm sure there's people that have done exactly what I'm doing here and they've done it better and figured it out, but they refuse to make videos on it, so I'm being forced to, even though I don't know it as well as they do. These guys will sit here for hours figuring this stuff out. I'm going to do this in like 20 minutes. Okay, we got a fresh tab here. I close the other tabs. So now we're going to do a, let's try my old opening, 25s and then 50s, which I don't think is going to do great, but yeah, I just want to test out. This is what I used to do for like months, and this is like my go-to thing for a while there. So we, I didn't stop it properly. Hold on. I didn't do it right. We're going to do it right around here. And okay, there's the, I mean, we already know what the 25 is. Now we're going to slide it to 50 and do it again right about here, I'd say. And that seemed fairly well timed. Could have been a smidge better. So we got 364, 16, 15. Doesn't seem to be that far off from the others. Close it. And we're going to do it again right around here. See how that works out for us. And we've got 3,406, 924. Keep in mind, fifth cycle was like 11,000. Pixels and 20,000 troops for the 100%. That was the end of the third cycle there. Time to do the fourth cycle. We'll do 50 again. Just testing my old strategy. Right about there. I think I did that a little bit, actually almost perfectly timed. That's the fourth cycle. 2,000 pixels, 7,408 troops. One more for the road for the fifth cycle. Do this kind of right about halfway, I'd say there. And it's going to end up being pretty well timed. Only 4,512 pixels and only 16,000 troops. So compared to 100% full send, this strategy ends up with literally less troops in half the land. Then, so if you do 100% full sends timed properly, and you don't get attacked by bots and players, and you've got like this amount of free land to work with, the 100% is just better than what I used to do for like months. But what about what I've been toying around with the last few days? 50-50 and a couple 75s. How's that going to do? I imagine probably worse than 100%, but we'll try it. We'll spawn here, keep it at 50, wait to get it right around there or so, send it out. Hopefully we timed it about right. That's fairly close in time. It could be a smidge better. Let's get ready to go for the second cycle here. Let's do 50 again. Keep some troops at home to defend, basically. Timed it a little bit too soon there, but I mean, it seems all right. 420 pixels again, 1679 seems about right. But now we're going to switch up to about 75%. And we're going to do the third cycle here, right about there. Maybe should be pretty well timed, I'd say. Pretty close. 1,300 pixels, 3,354, okay. All right, time for the fourth cycle. I need to send this one probably about halfway or so, maybe. Hopefully that's timed right. Pretty good. So that's 4 cycles. And we have 7,237 troops and almost 3,000 pixels. We'll try one more for the road here. Send it right about there. Could be about right. Oh, I timed it wrong, but we'll let it slide. So even with timing it slightly wrong, we ended up with 7,320 pixels, 18,000 troops. So the number might be a little bit different, maybe a little bit more or less. But generally speaking, I would say if you're worried about getting attacked, so this is less than the 100%. That was the fifth cycle. Once you get about 30 seconds, that's about it. So that was our fifth cycle. We did end up with less, even if I had timed it perfectly, it's less pixels and less troops than doing 100%. But we do have the added advantage of we're a little bit safer from being attacked because we're keeping some troops at home. So basically, what it seems to be, if you can time it perfectly, if you're doing it like this, just the more you send, the better. Although there are some strategies. Let's look at the green biscuit strategy for a second. I'm probably going to do this wrong, but I think the green biscuit strategy is you get to like 25 or 35 or something. You do that, time it properly end. I'm already messing up by timing it wrong. Then you do about 47%, and you do it at the end. That's the second cycle right there. And I should be pausing this, but whatever. And this is the third one. Okay, that's good. And then you wait for the fourth one right around there. And that seems about right. Okay. And then you wait for the fifth one. That's the fifth send right there. And you stop. And so the green biscuits, or my failed attempt at doing it, has ended up with, after the 5th cycle, 4,700 pixels and only 17,000 troops. So even my lazy, the first 2 cycles being 50, the next 3 being 75, in this particular scenario, have ended up with, ends up with like a couple thousand more pixels and basically the same amount of troops. So honestly, it's just whatever you're comfortable. Move that slider as far to the right on each cycle as you're comfortable with, and that kind of seems to be the best strategy. Oh, the ones I've tested so far. After I put this video out, somebody's gonna like sit down here for hours testing out different strategies, and they're gonna find something that's way better than what I do here, and that's what I'm hoping for. I've been wanting somebody to do a video like this for like 6 months or more. Just nobody ever does it, and I'm like, all right, fine, I'll do it. I've just been lazy wanting somebody else to figure out the perfect opening strategy, but well, I guess I'm being forced to lead the way here, as always. Now, if you're wondering what to do after this, typically once people have like finished the 5th cycle for land, they tend to like lower the slider down, because like what ends up happening if you're at the 5th cycle here and you send 13,000 pixels, you know, let's click X and just like send 13,000 pixels almost right away. What'll happen is like you hit right here, hold on, you hit right here. You notice how this cycle has ended? And we have 5,000 troops that haven't even finished sending. You've sent more troops than you needed. Those you could have had. You're gaining the lands not quick enough compared to the troops you're sending. You could have kept those 5,000 troops at home, gaining you more interest, because you get troops both from interest on how many troops you have right here, and also from how many pixels you have. Like when this little line fills up and goes back down, you get a troop infusion based on how many pixels you have. That's why you want to time that at the end. You don't want to send here as much as you can in the first few cycles, because, you know, optimize your interest. And then this thing here, or maybe it's the other way around, I forget. But generally speaking, that's why you can also click X on that to like cancel troops out there. Generally speaking, what you want to do is you want to keep it, like once you get past the 5th cycle, you want to keep enough to keep your troops flowing, but you want to keep as much, this number as big as possible, and just enough here to keep it going, whatever that ends up being. It's obviously you won't have this much free lane when you're testing it out, but yeah, that's the general idea. And well, at this point, I'm just doing this because it's kind of fun to watch me take the entire board with nobody here. Hey, look at that! I'm an unstoppable monster. Hey. CG won the game, cool. But yeah, that's the general idea of what I'm trying to accomplish here, is to, one, just get an idea out there for people that like mock me for saying, oh, 100% at the start, that's bad. It is bad if you time it wrong, or if you're too close to other players that attack you. If you don't, they can actually work out all right. But you have to time it perfectly with this bar going up here, which quite frankly, a lot of the time I don't, because it's hard to time it properly when I'm focused on giving commentary. But you that are watching and playing this game on your own won't be distracted, unless you're a content creator, by yourself doing commentary, and you can focus on, okay, get my slider to the right part, here's a line going up, if you want to be that sweaty. If you don't want to be that sweaty, and you don't want to worry about people hitting you, just wait till it gets halfway and do ascend. And do the 50, 50, 75. Wait for it to get halfway again, do ascend. Click it at 75. And the next few cycles, wait for it to get about halfway and ascend it. It'll be good enough. And wait for it to get about halfway, good enough. And that'll be the 4th cycle. And then for the 5th cycle, wait for it to get halfway, good enough. Send it again. Wait for it to finish. Oh, it'll be a little bit off here, but there, click that. In doing it like that, you still get 7,564, 18,000 pixels. And so if you're looking for, like, if you're a beginner and you want a strategy that's a little bit more advanced than other beginners are using, but it's not like super hard, this is probably the quick, like, this seems like a pretty good, easy one. Although now that I think about it, what about just 75s all the way? Wait, we did 75s all the way. Let's do it again. But at the halfway up mark there. That was one cycle right there. Let's do number 2. There we go. There's number 2. Time for number 3. We'll send you up there. All right, that's 3 cycles. And time for number 4, send you up. We're just doing it halfway up. That way it's easy and new player friendly and casual friendly. That's the 5th cycle right there. Wait for that to all finish and get back. And 75s all the way has ended us up with 8,320 pixels at the 29-second mark. 21,000 troops. Honestly, I would say if you're a new player and you want to have a fairly good opener, but you also don't want to worry about people like attacking you early because you have like 1 pixel left, because that's what happens when you full send. They see like this tiny little number here and they want to attack you. 75, just put it 75%, wait for this little white line to get halfway up the top there, and just for your first 5 cycles or until you're touching all the bots and players, just do that, and then focus on bots and then focus on players. And honestly, that's just like a nice, good, easy opening strategy. It's fairly effective. And yeah, if you see me using a lot of like the 50, 75s, it's going to be situational. If you're really close to players, you might want to start with a couple 50s and then 75s. If you're miles away from other players, you might want to start with 100s. It's going to vary, but I think overall, I think this video is going to do a pretty good job for explaining to new players opening strategies, for veteran players why I choose to do what I do. And I'm really hoping this will open the floodgates of other people making videos very similar to this, where they test out, what if I do a 10% at the start, or 15% at the start, and then 80%. And I just want somebody to make figure out some amazing cracked opening strategy, and then make a video showing it with sharing it with the rest of us. And you know, I can give you a shout out and be like, hey guys, I'll make a video. Hey guys, look at this guy's awesome opening they made, and I'll react to your video, if you know, whatever. And just come on guys, help me out here. Let's work together to figure out the best opening strategy, and just like, you know, math this out and nail it down here. And like, let's stop having it be some like hidden secret for the Discord denizens who keep their optimal strategies selfishly to themselves. Let's share it with everybody, right? Level the playing field. But yeah, that's the end of the video. Smash that like button. Let's go.